Okay, this week with the New Year's coming up, going to talk about New Year's resolutions. Now, the reason, the way I see it, the reason why they get so much bad rap and why so many fail is because so many people go in, expect lofty ambitions, like, oh, I'm going to lose 100 pounds and I'm going to build 50 pounds of muscle in 2 weeks. Now you got to ask yourself: is doing stuff like that necessarily realistic? Well, not really. So again, people go in going from 0 to 100 miles an hour and expect to achieve all these lofty goals and they set unrealistic expectations and therefore kind of like fail. So in essence, like the listening to the Jocko podcast, I know they mentioned once that the average time that the good old New Year's resolutions fail is like January 13th, which is usually right around the 2 week mark and everything. So again, you kind of have is because the way I see it is because most people go in with that unrealistic expectation. We expect to maybe quite possibly get all these lofty goals. Like I said, we want to be able to step on stage of the Mr. Olympia, and or we expect, like I said, to lose 100 pounds in like 2 weeks. We expect to build 50 pounds of muscle in 2 weeks and everything. That's pretty much why so many people fail, unfortunately, is because they go in thinking we're going to, in a sense, achieve these unrealistic goals. So that's why I myself kind of view as the New Year's resolutions as total bullshit and everything. So now can they be effective if you go in with the right mindset and the right attitude and with the right expectations? Absolutely. So what we got to do is we got to, in a sense, flip the expectations. We got to flip the whole going from 0 to 100 in 2 weeks and then set ourselves up for failure. What we got to do is we got to take a step back and get rid of those lofty ambitions and then realize okay, well, maybe I'm morbidly obese, I have to lose that 100 pounds and everything. Is it much more realistic to lose that 100 pounds over the course of a year and a half versus 2 weeks? Yes. So if you go into mindset well, I can't lose 100 pounds unless I lose the first pound, unless I lose the second pound. So we then step back, take a more objective approach, and realize, hey, look, it's much more realistic for me to lose 1 or 2 pounds a week than it is to maybe 5 pounds like the first 2 weeks or whatever, than it is to lose 100 pounds the first 2 weeks or whatever. So we set ourselves up for success instead of failure. Now, the first 2 weeks, we might end up losing quite a bit of weight, like maybe 10, 15 pounds. Does not necessarily mean that we're going to sit there and lose 10 to 15 pounds of fat. Not necessarily, because a lot of times what you're doing is when you first getting started, you lose that 10 to 15 pounds those first 2 or 3 weeks. You get all excited because, oh, hey, look, I'm having massive success. What you got to realize though is chances are you're losing a lot of that is probably going to be excess water weight to inflammation, and your system is getting cleansed out. So yeah, you're going to get excited by seeing that the upfront major success of maybe losing 10 to 15 pounds in the first 2, maybe 3 weeks or so. And so you gotta kind of rein yourself in with your emotions and realize, okay, this isn't going to be a never ending losing 10 to 15 pounds every 2 or 3 weeks, and then it's going to taper off eventually, because now in my experiences, I've gone through this. I've lost 75 pounds myself and everything. So what happened was those first 6 months I lost 50 pounds. So think of it okay, well, that's great progress, and you could be in the same boat losing the 100 pounds. You could lose 50 of them in the first 6 months. Like I said, you're getting a lot of rid of excess water weight, a lot of inflammation. You're kind of clearing out your system. now, of course, this is under the impression that you're going to be getting your nutrition in check as well, which is an absolute. It's a must. You have to do like your nutrition, get that in check while you're training, so that way you're going to have that compounded positive effect with your training. So you're probably most likely you're going to be like me. I'm not going to say you are. You're most likely in that in this first 6 months you're going to lose like a ton of weight. So you probably, like I said, like with me, lose that 50 pounds within the first 6 months. Me, I hit a major roadblock for after that. Like I went all in on my training, and then like got my training pretty much locked in those first 6 months, and then for 6 months I was not losing any weight, and I was like I was getting pissed off like a week after week, day after day. I'm like, I'm still stuck at the same weight. What the fuck am I doing wrong and everything? So then that's when I really took a step back and like, okay, well, I need to start getting my nutrition in check. Here we go. Now I don't use calorie counters. I'm not necessarily a really big fan of them now, but they do have their place in that I did use them then, and that it did help me get my nutrition in check, because it forces you to use that calorie counter app. It forces you to get on like this little phone and be like, what am I eating? And then when you actually put like a, it's not going to be 100% accurate, because like for instance, like you put whole 2 apples. Those 2 apples aren't going to like have like this necessarily the same like nutritional content. Like they come from the same bag, and I'll say like well, the apple has 100 calories, and then it has this many carbs, this many grams of protein, this much fat, and those two aren't going to have exactly the same. But that does give you a nice good ballpark figure, like as you're plugging it in, like, oh hey, look, I just ate an apple, that gives me like 100 calories, like it gives me like these many grams of carbs, this many grams of proteins, fat, and it gives me this micronutrient profile, at least based on like what's being reported. Now again, it's not going to be necessarily 100% accurate, but it does give you like the numbers, a good data point. Like, okay, look, I'm eating like Cheerios and like non-fat milk or whatever, two servings of each. So I'm getting X amount of calories. Then for snack, I'm having this yogurt. I'm getting X amount of calories, and break it all down. So you have like data points where you can sit there and like, oh, so this is what I'm actually eating. Like, oh, okay, well then like, it gives you a good foundation to kind of like tweak and twist and be able to like kind of like all right, so let's see, this stuff hasn't been working, let me get this in order. Okay, well, eating this stuff isn't working, let me tweak it like this, let me tweak it like that, let me twist it like that. And like over the course of what happened with me over the course of another 6 months, as I got my nutrition in check, I was able to like get like a good idea of like what my macro and micronutrient intake was, along with my caloric intake. And then after a year, I finally busted through that plateau, and I lost like another 25 pounds. Now that was like almost 10 years ago, and like of course now my weight has kind of gone like up and down. I've kind of settled around like in the 160s and stuff. And so as of this recording, I weighed myself, I'm 170 pounds, and I'm coming off of like All American Muscle program, where I've added, like I've mentioned in like the All American Muscle review, where I added a total of 120 pounds onto my three big compound lifts of deadlift, squat, and bench press. And so I put on like a good 10 to 15 pounds and everything through the All American Muscle. So now I'm just kind of setting myself up like for this next program that I'm planning. Like, okay, my realistic goal for this is to be like start, in a sense, cutting back at my weight and everything. Still going to be doing lifting and everything. So it's the Norse Fitness Berserker training, an upper lower split. I'm adding a couple days of cardio to kind of like sit there if I can actually start cutting some weight while continuing to build strength and everything. So those are realistic goals and everything. So with me, I'm using so like realistic goals for you. Getting back to like the whole concept of a New Year's resolution, what you want to do is like yes, you're going to, like I mentioned, have that major success early on, and you're going to get excited, but you got to temper that excitement and realize this isn't going to last forever. So when you do hit that plateau, take a step back and be like, okay, I'm frustrated. I need to say like look at like where am I screwing up? Like in my case, it was nutrition. Now and then of course, I kept going to the gym, and so that's like it could take the point of not only of where am I screwing up, like in my case, nutrition, fix that. Okay, where am I succeeding? I'm still going to the gym. I'm still crushing it. I'm still getting in my training and everything. Okay, so there's where I'm succeeding. I need to continue to do that. So we temper our like lofty expectations with like a real objective results that we can achieve over a course of like a time and everything. So we kind of have like, so this is where the New Year's resolutions can be successful, is if you go in with the right mindset and be like, hey, look, this isn't going to be a quick fix for me. I need to do this over the course of the next year, 2 years, and then once I lose that 100 pounds of weight, now I've got to maybe shift my goals to like, hey, look, now I can start building muscle and everything. Now I can start maybe doing this. Maybe I can start competing in CrossFit. Maybe I can start running ultra marathons or doing whatever. So again, the reasons why New Year's resolutions fail so much is because we go in with that those unrealistic expectations. So what we got to do is we've got to get that off the plate and throw it out into the garbage and go in with actual like realistic and objective goals that we can achieve over the course of like months, if not years and everything. So that's the mindset you want to go in. Look at the long term and don't look at it as a short term temporary fix.